Hello, good morning students. Today we are going to see the topic RAG, Retrieval-Augmented Generation from the course Generative AI and Agentic Systems. Let's start with the introduction about what is RAG and workflow automation. It is highly used in the autonomous task execution where each and every word it has a purpose and meaning, and retrieval is the process of searching the relevant information which is exist, and the augmentation here it means feeding the retrieved content into the model, AI model, and from that generation it takes the understanding of producing the natural language response with respect to the prompt and queries. And let's have a recap with ice-breaking questions like what are AI agents and the basics of LLM. You have to understand it. Then do LLMs know real-time data and why the external storage is it is important. So if you compare the AI agents with LLMs, LLMs are more trained on the large data part and it is producing the text and with the reasoning, and it requires 100% prompting. And when it comes to AI agent, it is actually built on the top of LLMs, LLM large language model, right? And it is used to plan and execute with the support of AI agents independently with the application programming interface. And it is using tools, memory, and all APIs. So AI agent is more versatile than LLM. So here the equation it makes you to understand clearly LLM is either a knowledge or AI agent part, and which is a summation of knowledge with action. So if you look at the diagram, how RAG in action, the user is producing the question through query or prompt, and then the embedding model will be finding the relevant information and it converts the entire information in the form of vector diagrams. Then the similarity search will be triggered. Then with the similarity search is actually triggered over the vector database. Then there would be a semantic search with the meaning and context of each and every prompting keywords. It is processed, and once the retrieval is over, the similar passages are passing through the final prompt, and the final prompt is being supported by the LLM and produces the output. So this is the overall understanding about retrieval augmentation generation in action. So here the learning objectives, we need to understand the RAG process and also to learn how the automation is being used, and we have to understand the flow, the workflow of the functioning components of RAG. So if you see that the whole RAG process, it starts with data, then it is dividing the content into the smaller parts. Then with the prompting and context level understanding, the LLM is getting leveraged. Then finally the output is being produced. So however, the prompt is the main key here, and the data is being retrieved with the search and retrieval options through the LLM, large data sources. Finally, the generated is producing the content with the user response. So what is RAG? As you know that the three keywords which makes the sense like retrieve, find the usual information, augment, add it to the AI's knowledge, and generate, create the better response. So when you look at that, the four steps are highly involved as it is mentioned in the diagram. The first process we call it as chunking. It is where the documents are splitted into pieces, and in the second step the embedding process happening. It is a process of conversion from text to diagrams like vectors, and in the third step the vector database has been completely populated with a different set of vectors, and finally the generations of producing the content with respect to prompt that is fetched from the vector database. So here the RAG architecture, it has the understanding about the client and the LLM model, and how the prompting is being used in the understanding of context, and the semantic search is happening over the prompt. So that's a framework here. So the framework, it has the LLM client with the vector database, which makes the understanding about retrieval of information through RAG. And when it comes to autonomous task execution, you see that there is a two autonomy of understanding. One is where the AI agent, it acts as an input planner. Then finally the module is forwarded to the memory, and finally the execution happens with the feedback loop. The final complete output is produced. So how this autonomous agent works, it takes the input with the proper reasoning and perception. Then the data is being collected with the relevant details of context of information. Then the planning model is breaking the entire task into different subtasks. And finally, the decision making and the actions further to be executed is based on the entire autonomous independent procedures. So the workflow automation, as you know, as you see that the task is being trained with the decision logic touch. So here the repetitive task is being identified, then the existing process outline is being captured, then the specific automation tool is used for each and every user task. Then finally you have to apply the conditional logic, then produce the evaluation and modification finally. So let's take with the design thinking approach. There is a person Arjun who is an analyst. He is finding problem in manual reporting and needs automation because he's completely tired of handling the reporting manual reporting. So he requires some support from the AI automated insight. So what he is doing that is getting support and keeps on empathizing the problem, and he wants to define what can be done. So one way, the most he has to analyze that which is more profitable, like failed things and scaling opportunities. Then after this kind of definition and ideation stage, he has to go with the he or she has to go with the proper design thinking approach, where you can see that uh, they have to apply the connection between the various accounts and choose the tools, right tools to do that. And finally the scheduling and test flow. So here the manual task, how it is being computerized with all the design thinking approach, from the empathization to the prototype testing. So finally the activity role play for to design RAG systems. With this diagram, you have to create approach. You have to apply any real type examples for the RAG system, and the applications here as per T model. We are using this RAG. It is in the factual and creative content for producing the smarter question and answers, and it is used in highly real world knowledge with chatbots. Also, it is highly useful for the legal research, and it is supporting personal recommendation. So these are the various applications of RAG. And the summary here, the components you should not forget for every RAG. It is saving the time of the user, and also it is answering for every key questions. The four layers are here: perception layers, where it is involving sensors, natural language processing, data collections, and the computer vision. In the action layer, it is consisting of execution mechanisms and feedback loops. And in the cognitive layer, it is utilizing the ML models and decision making frameworks as well. And in the final communication layer, it is focusing on interfacing with the humans and systems with multimodal capabilities. Thank you, students. Let us continue in the next class.